Good morning and welcome to Mocha Money Monday. I'm Ashley Scott, your host, and today I have the honor and privilege to interview Dr. Linda Gray. Now, Dr. Linda Gray is a phenomenal woman who has helped over 150 nonprofit businesses to get started in her 25 years of working for our community. Now, the best part about Dr. Linda Gray is that she not only has the knowledge about nonprofits, she wrote the courses for the certification series for nonprofit management. So she doesn't just walk it like she talks it, okay? She is training up so many people to be able to make a positive impact in our communities. And I really love this lady because she's not just talking about, America in general, which is important, but she's very much have a heart for the Black community and women of color. And that's what the Phenomenal Hues Global Network is all about, helping people to get the coaching, the experiences that they need to become bankable businesses. So I'm really excited because having Dr. Linda Gray here today is going to be a springboard for all of you out there who are interested in starting your own nonprofits. Now, I can't be a start without also saying that Dr. Linda Gray is also a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award winner. So we don't got just anybody on the screen here today. We have a truly phenomenal woman. So thank you for your service, and thank you for being here with us today, Dr. Gray. How are you?
Good morning. And Ashley, what a great opportunity to be interviewed by you. Thank you for the opportunity of letting me come and really express my complete joy in being interviewed by you in your organization. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, I want to get started just having a conversation about how you got into a nonprofit management as a specialty specifically. What about nonprofits was important to you, and how did it lead you on this path to being a coach specifically around this topic?
I'm glad you asked that. And it gives me great joy to really show where a little girl back then in Midland, Texas, that's where I'm from, West Texas.
Mhm.
And I've always had been curious about nonprofit organizations. I didn't fully understand what they did until when I got out of high school. I decided that I wanted to volunteer for a nonprofit organization called the Mental Health and Mental Retardation Center. And so when I volunteered, I first came on as a file clerk, volunteering their medical records, of the individuals that they were seeing. And then I even asked to volunteer with the individual that actually handled the financials and then made sure that they received their federal grant dollars to really
Mm.
support and build there. So I started volunteering there, just learning. And I was fascinated because number one, our nonprofit organizations is one of the fastest growing industries in the nation. So that's how I started, just from volunteering, and it's been on ever since, and we're looking like about maybe 50 years onward that I've been in the nonprofit industry serving, and actually starting a career in it, um, just recently to develop my own company. I've always had my own company, but now, uh, at the ripe old age of 71 years old, I am starting and launching my consulting business, full pledge.
Exciting. Congratulations, Dr. Gray. Now,
Thank
what I
you.
want to talk a little more about is this idea. Like when people think about nonprofits, the question is, how do I make money? Right? Like we know that nonprofits serve the community and they serve across a variety of industries, right? From education and youth programs to health education and health programs for elderly people, even down to development. There are nonprofit organizations that are doing housing development. Our churches are nonprofit organizations. So, how does an individual who has an idea for a specific industry to start a nonprofit, how do they make money in a nonprofit industry?
Oh, well, I tell you what, more than ever in this season, the nonprofit industry is one of the fastest growing, I mean, $1 million companies. So
Mm,
an individual, let's just start, from before COVID. Let's just
mm,
say this. Nonprofit organizations were really impactful in helping to solve a lot of our problems and being able to help people, to really grow and sustain and really put them on a pivot where they can grow and develop and be sustainable. Well, number one, first of all, when you are wanting to even think about starting a nonprofit organization, the first thing you have to develop what your vision is.
mhm.
Whatever your vision is, if your vision is to make a difference in your community in any capacity, that's number one. And then number two, when you're starting your nonprofit organization, you have to start it in a business framework mind. You got to have the mindset that just because you're a nonprofit organization do not mean that you cannot become profitable. Because number one, you have to become profitable in the nonprofit industry to make better impact. So with that being said, we have, and I want to make a note, one of the best federal resources that we can get access to is called SCORE.
Mhm.
SCORE is a free agency that's funded by the Small Business Administration to provide free and confidential counseling to any individuals that interested in starting their business, growing their business, and also making an impact in the nonprofit industry. So SCORE, SCORE.org, is the federal agency that you can get access to get free and certified mentors in the business industry. So um, getting the dollars is really good. Like I said from the beginning, since COVID, now we're post COVID. So that means that there are billions of federal dollars that have been allocated since 2021 to really help nonprofit organizations build their capacity and be able to make a better impact because they can get funding to hire employees. They can get funding to actually get acquisition to land. They can get funding to serve our youth. And they also can get funding to make a difference in our communities.
That's awesome. So now, one of the questions I want to have go a little deeper in, or as your expertise is concerned, is when you talk about a business framework for nonprofit organizations, what does that look like? Is it the same thing as a CEO and a CFO? And do you have products and services that you should be selling, or do you have to take a different mindset or a different approach when you start a nonprofit organization?
No, it's just exactly what you said it. You said it best, I tell you, because number one, nonprofit organizations require employees. And then the first head of a nonprofit organization, they are called executive directors. They're called executive directors. So the executive director is an employee of the nonprofit organization that do have to have a salary. And so before you begin your nonprofit organization, after you structure it, after you get it a certificate of formation from your state, you have to formalize your budget. You have to
Mhm.
develop your operating budget, and that budget pays for salaries, materials, program supplies. It pays for professional consultants like CPAs.
Mhm.
It pays for evaluators, and it also pay for your travel, your expenses, everything that you need to operate a successful business. Because as I said before, nonprofit organizations are businesses, and we have to be mindful that they have to be funded totally through several types of funding. And we'll talk later about the funding that's available for nonprofit organizations.
So would you say, Miss Gray, Dr. Gray, that anybody and everybody, because I was raised that, hey, we should all be making an impact. And even when you are successful in your career, that there's benefits to having your own nonprofit organization, or should only certain kinds of people start nonprofits? What would you say about someone who's very successful, who might be working a corporate job and they have a passion or a vision to help their community in some different way than maybe their current role allows?
Well, that's a good question because we know that since COVID, a lot of individuals, jobs were lost, but then they had the skills and the knowledge, you know what I mean, to perform the services, to provide support, as becoming a nonprofit organization. But really, it's even deeper than that. You can have also a for-profit business and
Mhm.
stay on your profit business, you know what I mean? Your income, your fringe benefits, and you can create a, a nonprofit organization to impact, the skills and the skills that you have and you've acquired. You can really work those collaboratively, but not all people, not all, we don't want everybody to
Mhm.
to start a nonprofit organization, but what we want to do is collaborate and create a team, you know what I mean, to start a nonprofit organization, and then you work collaboratively. And that's the good thing that I really I'm working on myself. I want to create an ecosystem where for-profit businesses, in particular our minority businesses, woman owned, minority owned, black owned, is so imperative that we work collaboratively in together to acquire and get the resources that we need to really sustain our communities. And what I mean by that is that nonprofit organizations need to collaborate with for-profit businesses to create this ecosystem so we can support each other's business industries.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? A nonprofit organization can get access to funding, as a tax exempt organization. The for-profit business can provide the services that the nonprofit organization need to make impact and serve their community. So
Mhm.
this is so important for us to each determine to work collaborative together or even create a nonprofit organization into the development area.
Mhm.
As you mentioned before, about acquiring land,
Mhm.
providing transitional housing,
Mhm.
providing an opportunity for strip shopping centers. You know what I mean? To create a space for nonprofit organizations to be able to come and do innovation solutions, you know what I mean? To build their nonprofit organization so they can really serve their particular population. So, nonprofit organizations, I'm not playing, like I said, they're the fastest growing industry in the nation, and we have to collaborate with for-profit businesses to really expand our resources and take advantage of the billions of dollars that are allocated in our states right now as we're speaking.
So let me ask you this question. How do I know I'm ready for collaboration, right? So what are some of the things, like should I have my 501(c)(3) in place? Should I have some experience as far as projects are concerned? Should I have the capacity by being able to prove that I have a qualified team? What are some of those things that are going to show that I'm capable to do the work and get the funding to do the work?
Okay, and I'm glad you asked that question because that's where it starts. It starts at the beginning. First of all, you as an individual, if you have a mission and a focus, you know what I mean, and something desiring in your heart, you know what I mean, to help and support and solve a problem in our community, the first thing that you have to do, that individual really have to assess their needs. Number one, assess the needs and then assess their skills.
Mm,
Okay. And so with my clients, what I do is I have created a nonprofit template that actually will guide them into the beginning and what it takes to become a nonprofit organization. And it's questions like, who are your board members? Who are the individuals that you're going to work with, your officers, to collaboratively start the nonprofit organization. Then we would assess the needs of the community and what your mission, your purpose, and your focus is. And we would develop a predicated budget, you know what I mean? A estimated budget first to determine exactly how much it will cost for you to hire and maintain, a consistency in serving the community. So that's very important. And then picking board members is very important as well, because board members can actually get paid for their actual business services. So if you start a nonprofit organization and you hire an accountant, that accountant is your board member, can get paid for the services that they provide.
okay.
So it's a great opportunity, you know what I mean, to assess, your needs and then making sure that you can deliver and fulfill, your promise and your services to the people to make change and impact.
Okay. So now I want to go ahead and let's talk about the money. Okay. Let's talk about how
Yes,
do we get the funding when we
that's
have
right.
everything set up? We've got our board members, we've got our officers, we've got our budget. Where do we go? Where do we look? Where do we start?
Well, first of all, it's so important for us as nonprofit leaders, particularly, we have to actually take a look at the city where we are targeting the impact, and we have to make sure that we know what the city's strategic plan is. That's important. Every city has a strategic plan. In that strategic plan, the city defines the services that they need to help their citizens. It's
Mm,
right there in their strategic plan. And so wherever we fit in, if we provide, if the city, right now, the cities are looking for affordable housing. So
mhm.
if you're a nonprofit that can provide, some services in that, helping develop housing, affordable housing, you want to look at the city's strategic plan. That's the first document that you look to determine. Okay. After
Mhm,
that, you have to register your nonprofit organization in a registration called SAM. It's
mhm,
called Systems Awards Management, and that is the national federal database for all organizations, to include for-profit businesses, to register in that database in order to receive federal grants. Now we can
mhm,
take a look also, the second thing we need to look at is what is the needs assessment in your community.
mhm,
What are the needs? And I'll just quote a little need. First of all, in the city of Dallas, in
mhm,
the South Dallas region, 68% of our Black women are head of household,
mhm.
single head of household. So that's a great, you know what I mean, target and support that we can actually, nonprofit organizations in our communities, community-based nonprofit organizations and churches because churches are really totally exempt anyway. They're tax exempt. But when you get your community organizations and your churches collaboratively working together, we can definitely make impact and get those resources. Okay, so it's important to also take a look at your private foundations,
Mm,
because we in North Texas, we have the largest and the biggest philanthropy foundations really in the United States of America besides New York.
mm,
So we have access to private foundations and then also corporate companies. And we have the largest Fortune 500 company base too. So they have charitable programs where they fund. And then you have your banks. Banks is a great resource for us to partner with. Your major banks, all the banks, FDIC, are regulated to provide development within that defined community. So the funding is unbelievable. And here in Texas, we have plenty,
okay.
and
And so
we need to apply.
So what I'd like for you to talk about is when we should be looking for these things, right? Is this something that is on a rolling basis? Should we plan these things at the top of the year, January? Is it something we should actually plan at the end of the year? What's a good strategy for going after these different pots of money that you discussed?
Well, you got to be very specific. Whatever the nonprofit mission and goals are, you have to target your mission and your goals to the exact funding that's available from these corporations and foundations and even the cities. Now, in my opinion, for the years I've been in the nonprofit industry, the federal funding is more practical for me because number one, federal funding pays for total operations of your nonprofit. Excuse me. It
Mhm.
pays for salaries. It pays for your program supplies. It pays for transportation. It pays for consultants that you bring on, CPAs. It pays for everything you need to fulfill and define the purpose to grow your specific target population. So that's number one. And then you also have to collaborate with other nonprofit organizations as well, you know what I mean, to get the full impact. And then again, like I said, building the ecosystem. So you're reaching out to for-profit businesses,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, to collaborate with them, because like I said, the for-profit businesses can provide everything
Mhm.
you need to fulfill, your mission and your purpose through your nonprofit.
That makes so much sense. I'm working right here at the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs. It's the largest center to grow, scale, and develop Black businesses. And we're able to get the EDA funds. And so those economic development agency funds, they're helping they pay for transportation to conferences and to go see other examples of the kinds of work that we want to do. And it's specifically around artificial intelligence and preparing underserved communities for the artificial intelligence and manufacturing boom that we know is getting ready to take place, right? And so, what you just talked about, I have a real life example where I get to see how working with these government funds are helping to impact Black businesses because they're hiring consultants, and those consultants are getting nice checks and they have consistent um, income that they can count on now because they're a part of this large scale project that's being funded by the EDA.
That is awesome. And you just hit the nail on the head, nail head. You just hit it. And because it is so important because of our opportunities through the American Rescue Recovery Act. I don't
Mm,
know if you're familiar with the American Rescue Recovery Act, but that act created a blueprint for access to Black businesses. And
Mhm.
so Black women businesses, we are the fastest growing businesses in the nation since COVID. I mean,
Mhm.
we have opportunities to get access to land,
Mhm.
grants to
Mhm.
purchase land. We have opportunities to really build our own community banks. We have the
Mhm.
opportunity, you know what I mean, to create, the market, you know what I mean, to strip shopping centers, you know what I mean? We have access to dollars to get access for hotels and convert them to transitional living. But most of all, we have at our fingertips everything that we need. The only thing that we have to do is assess the land. That's all we have to do is assess what's before us and then making a difference, and particularly with our youth now. And you
Mhm.
just, mentioned about the, computer technology. We
Mhm.
have actually in our communities, we have dollars that have already are allocated for technology within our communities. I mean, saturated technology. So I want to recommend for us to take a look at the Small Business Innovation Research Grant today.
Yes, ma'am.
We need to take a look. Small Business Innovation Research. That is the greatest opportunity and the largest funding base in the entire United States of America right now. So those funds are available, and we really have to reach out from our low base community all the way up to the top.
Well, thank you. This has been such a amazing talk this morning, Dr. Linda. And I just want to encourage everyone to really look into these tools, into these strategies, and take them seriously because this is a great opportunity to be able to be collaborative, to get access to capital, and to make a huge impact on your community through nonprofit organizations. So thank you for sharing these insights today, Dr. Linda. Is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Well, first of all, I do want to thank the opportunity of being interviewed. I tell you, this is has given me sort of new hope and inspiration that everything that I've tried to do in my community, you know what I mean, for the sake of my community is not in vain when I've been invited on this platform. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity.
And you are also a coach with the Phenomenal Hughes Community, our P3 platform. Is that right, Dr. Linda?
Yes, I am. And it was so funny about that because I, my associate and my dear friend Denise, I tell you, she hooked me on to you all, okay? And then when it came around for me to come on, I saw Denise being interviewed. And so
Mm.
I said, Denise is being interviewed, and I watched. And then I reached out to you all. I said, look, I want to be on your show. And I had no idea it was the piece. I didn't put two and two together. And so, but that's what I'm saying, and that's how God works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You collaborate with individuals that you trust,
Mhm.
and it's so important for us to collaborate, you know what I mean? Because we can make big impacts. So I'm just excited and thrilled and the great opportunity for this platform. And we need the bigger spread of this platform. This platform needs to go all over the world because now we're getting ready to go internationally. So we're not
Yeah.
stopping here, we're
Oh,
internationally.
absolutely. And so if
And
thank you. So if you want to connect with Dr. Linda Gray to be able to get consulting and coaching around how to build out your nonprofit, we have courses that are available on our P3 platform. So please get connected. Join phenomenalhughes.com today. And thank you again, Dr. Linda Gray, for being our guest speaker. And thank you to listeners and audience for tuning in to another Mocha Money Monday. Peace, guys.